our good friend Leo Smock Randall. Leo, did you have a presentation? Jimmy's got it tooled in. Give it up for Leo. He works for NRCS. Put folders in his pocket, all the money he's going to give you tonight. All right, Leo.
All right, good evening, everyone. Hey, thanks. Good to see some familiar faces throughout the crowd, and excited that there's so many more that every time I come, there's so many more people seeing here. So I'm very encouraged by the growth of this organization, and I'm going to do a brief presentation tonight on what NRCS is, or who NRCS is, the programs we have, what we do with technical assistance to landowners and financial assistance too. That's the money side. It starts before the money, though. I didn't bring my checkbook. I'm sorry. But NRCS, Natural Resources Conservation Service. And my name is Leo Smock Randall. Okay. Or point of view, or should I?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. It's kind of a nice. So we work in partnership with private landowners, with land managers, and with communities to to improve their natural resources, ensuring that the working lands, which we so need to survive, are managed in an appropriate manner that's environmentally friendly. It's in harmony with the environment. We got started back in the 1930s around the Dust Bowl. It was called the Soil Conservation Service, SCS. And really back then it was just about the soil erosion and the dust. By the time it reached Washington, that's finally when they said, oh, we should do something about this. So they formed the SCS, and we are a voluntary agency. We're not regulatory. We don't go on to farms. We don't try to restrict things. We're about encouraging and educating landowners and managers to do the right thing, and incentivizing it nowadays with the farm bill. So what are the resource concerns that we address? There's a variety of them. As I said, we started with soil. It was all about the soil to begin with. Right on. And since then we realized obviously environmental systems are all connected. And so we kind of broadened our, in the 90s, broadened our approach, I think under Bill Clinton, and changed to the NRCS and said, hey, we do more than just soil. So I'm going to lead you through some of what the resource concerns we look at when we're doing planning. That's where it all starts. We start with a land management plan. So when I come out, or another individual, if you're interested in developing a conservation plan, we assess a variety of these. Soil erosion is one big issue, and obviously this is a very overgrazed pasture. And where does the erosion go? It all goes down to the ocean. So for soil, though, it's not just erosion, right? And any farmers or people who grow know that there's soil condition. That there's something about really good soil, the smell, the feel. I mean, it's good stuff. So we look at your soil condition too, and what are your management practices? How are those impacting your soil? Whether it be organic matter, you're trying to raise that up, or whether that's being depleted, or nutrients in the soil. So the next one, water. As I said, it all goes downhill. It all goes to the ocean, and I enjoy swimming in clean water. I don't know how you guys feel about brown water, but I like to go in clear, even whether or not there's nutrients leaching out from injection wells. But I'm working with private landowners, and that's what we're here to do. People who are leasing, there's nothing I can do on a public scale. So the water, we do work with water, not only the quality, but also quantity. So if you're trying to grow here, and let's say you don't have a meter, and that presents a big challenge, and since coming here, I've seen what a great challenge that is. So, water infrastructure to support what you're trying to do on your farm. And if you can't do that because you've got a meter and you're on a list for whoever knows how long, that's obviously going to prevent you from meeting your goal, and also from making Maui an even better place. Air. I took this while driving. I was just amazed. I was coming down the highway to Haleakala, and from a ways up, I took a camera out. I was up at a field visit, and I just thought, holy crap. And also, I mean, you can kind of see in the corner it's yellow. I stopped. But yeah, the soil goes up in the air. I'm sure everyone has seen it. And on a farm, there's more than just the dust we worry about. If you're animals or livestock, you got to worry about odors, especially as subdevelopments continue to kind of encroach on farmland. And then it's your fault, not theirs, So there's a lot of factors, that the air carries, and a lot of things that you want to be aware of. Especially organic farms, if you want to worry about overspray or drift, these are factors that the air is their carrier. So that's kind of one of the other factors we look at. The plants. That's not so great, it looks like a green mess. So this is gorse in the middle there. Invasive species, that's one thing also we look at. On croplands, it's more of the farmer's job to make sure that the invasives they want aren't there. But on a pasture setting, we try to look at the management and take out those invasives and then manage it properly so that they don't keep coming back. In addition, it's not just the bad, we look at the good stuff too, and we incentivize native restoration projects, any type, trying to encourage the use of native plants whenever possible. And then the lack of plants, or when plants burn. This was after the fire 2 years ago, was it? Over Walla when it went spread. And obviously this then creates huge issues with soil erosion, water quality, and so fire hazard here on the island, when we get these droughts coming through, that's something we want to think about. Small scale, it might not be as much of a problem, but if you have, if you have livestock or, in these larger parcels, it's really important to think about, your own property and your neighbors too. Animals here, I've seen so many overgrazed pastures, that's why I have so many pictures. So animal health, we look at not only the available forage, we also look at the water throughout wherever their system is. We want to look at, is it just one big open field? Is there shade and cover for them? That type of thing. So we're looking, beyond just production. It's not just about, fattening it up. We're looking actually at the life cycle and trying to make sure that their impact on the land too is sustainable, is ongoing, is that you can keep raising however many animals you have here, year in, year out, and keep that up and keep your land trimmed. Good cycle. What can we do to improve our resources? So it's really starting with those resource concerns, and from there developing a land management plan. And the conservation planning, that's what I've been doing here for a few years now. Essentially what we start with, resource inventory and your objectives. So I go out, I see with my little eyes what I see, you tell me what I'm not seeing, because obviously when we're rotating around the sun, things change, and each day is not the same, and the wet season is surely different. So if I come out in the summertime, there's things I'm not going to see. So it's really important to have an active manager, landowner involved to tell me the things I don't know about that property, and to give me also their objectives. Are you trying to increase the amount of food you're growing? Are you trying to improve your, you have 10 headed cattle, and you want to keep that, but you want them to be healthier. You want your grasses to be better. It's really important to have those outlined first. Maybe you just want to plant native trees, and that's what you're rocking on, which is awesome. So basically, it's important for you to have an objective first. Don't come to me and say, I like farming, what can I do? That can be cool. I'm not like a farm consultant. I'm not going to get your farm set up for you. I'm going to try to help you improve your vision so that it's a, it's a sustainable one, and it's also one that can be ongoing. So the conservation plan, once we get those identified, I end up making some pretty maps and getting a plan together for you guys with basically with a timeline, a couple of years out. Sometimes we do really longer plans, but obviously things change. So I typically stick to a few years with folks and try to lay out what your objectives are and what we're going to do to accomplish those, or what we can do with NRCS. And with that plan, then comes the money side. So once you have your conservation plan, that's what you can use to apply for funding. And with the funding, there's all kinds of programs. It's in the Farm Bill. Every 5 years, the Senate House, they talk about the law, come up with a new Farm Bill. We're lucky this year. It almost went, well, be careful on comment. I'm glad that there's going to be plenty of opportunity for comment. During the budget crisis, it kind of almost got passed through really quickly in the closed hearings. So luckily that didn't work. And so this year there will be plenty of opportunity, and hopefully the Farmers Union will also take an active look at that Farm Bill and at some of the national partners, what they're thinking about. And it'd be great to have voices. I read sometimes the comments, and it's like you'll get 10 or 11 comments on certain pieces in it, and I just think, wow, why does no one look at this? But that's because I'm a policy geek. So, conservation programs. EQIP and AMA, there's going to be a lot of letters I'm going to say out. The Environmental Quality Incentive Program and Ag Management Assistance. These are more of the strictly kind of farmer-oriented programs. And what I mean, when I say farmer, what we actually have a term, agricultural producer. And for the USDA NRCS, an agricultural producer is someone who has produced $1,000 worth of food, fiber, etc. It doesn't have to be sold, trade, barter, subsistence, but $1,000 worth. So, I mean, that's not that hard. I think I have that up in my house. And that's for the last 2 years, or 2 out of the last 5. So it's not a super high hurdle to actually qualify for. but you do have to have that sort of minimum farming activity. Like I said, it's not about a startup farm. So from there, then we, as you know, looking at these resources, this was a watering trough as part of a grazing system we put in. So a bunch of these to help rotate sheep, I believe. And fuel breaks, that's another one. We have these cost share programs that we take your plan, we have these set cost rates, kind of plug them in, you see what the reimbursement's going to be, you think, okay, it's going to cost me this much. Is that an investment? And we typically shoot for 75 to 90% cost share. It's not actually set on that, but that's what we aim at with these kind of practices. More fun stuff. This is a wildlife, this is the wildlife. The farming part is really wonderful. Obviously, not everyone is set out to be, a big-scale food grower or animal raiser, but everyone can be a conservationist, and I believe wholeheartedly in that. So no matter how much land you got, even more than I. But for our programs, the wildlife stuff or the native species restoration, we have wildlife habitat, wetland restoration, farm and ranch protection. And then the environmental quality program, this last farm bill, they started looking at what we call non-industrial private forest, which really opens up the door, which I'm really excited about. I was trained during school in permaculture, and that really got me kind of jonesing on that type of thing. And then this really allows an outlet for that. And it's very difficult to fit sort of alternative thinking systems into a government system. But with this non-industrial private forest designation, you don't have to have that $1,000 of produce. You do have to show you've done something on your land, whether it be cutting down invasives. If it's just gone to crap, you have to show that you're doing something. Planting trees, taking out, junk trees. But with that, we can do not only timber, we can do not only, sort of a native restoration, we can also do sort of agroforestry, multi-story cropping. So we can go in and, I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Craig Elovich and some of his work. So really cool stuff. He's really done a lot in sort of these tropical settings and already has a lot of the data you need when you're daydreaming about what you want to make your land into. And we can incentivize planting the trees, including fruit trees. And as I said, it's not a full, it's not like you give me your bills and I'll write you a check. These are rates that we set up ahead. But it can kind of help to take your vision, put it into a timeline, and then we check up with you, and I'm sure anyone else can attest. Every now and again you get a letter, and then you got to call us and say, what's happening? Okay, I'm on it, I'm working. But ultimately, it can incentivize not only restoration, not only timber, but also trying to create a food culture around a forestry model. And to say that, is truly, that's a cycle right there. That's something that we can start to get away from importing everything you put in the land to then eat. It's not just about shipping some fertilizer in and then that goes in the ground and then you're eating that with some sun. You're eating your land and your sun, and it is awesome. That's my own, that's not really NRCS, that's me. But we can do it, so I'm excited about that. So, there's one last little piece. This is a newer one. It's these national initiatives. So there's these 3 different ones which are really focused on energy audits. That's for farms, or you do have to be a farmer, but basically it's a landscape or your operation. So looking at your practices, are there ways to reduce your energy input? That's something you can sign up for. We incentivize to have someone come over and do an energy audit for your farm. High tunnels, right there on the mainland. It was all about extending the growing season, but trying to do it in an environmentally friendly way. So hey, if we put these up, can we reduce the fertilizer inputs? Can we reduce the pesticide and herbicide needs? Indeed, they're finding you can. Here, and the wet side haiku, definitely, this is useful. And dry side, I found we just this year got approved, thanks to some input from farms, shade cloth. So on the dry side too, we're looking at changing the growing climate. And so you don't have to have as much inputs, to grow things. The last one, organics, transitioning. So folks who are interested in transitioning to organic production can again sign up. It's a similar thing with a conservation plan, looking at management practices to improve your operation. But it's a slightly higher incentive to offset some of the costs that are known. In your first few years, it's expensive to be organic and you don't get that price point, So that's one of the other things we're sort of encouraging. All right, so we're from the government, we're here to help. I have brought a sign-up sheet and some fact sheets and my cards, and I'm leaving them all over here. So please write your name and number. Evan's going to collect that for me. I'm working with him as well, actually. I'm sure he won't mind saying it, hopefully. And yeah, be able to, put your name and number down, take a business card, please call me, and feel free to pester. It is sign-up season, so I'm a little hectic, but I will definitely follow up with you within a few days. And I think last time just has my, one more, I think just has my number. If you want to, yeah, the website and stuff. We're on Twitter. But anyhow, it's all about you.
Leo, one question I want to have is share. In the past, there wasn't enough evaluators. I know we spoke about this, yeah? To where, Leo would go out to these farms and stuff, but then they didn't have the evaluators to, people would hand in their applications and stuff. Has that changed?
That has not changed, but I still do my darndest, and we actually we lost 2 of our staff this year, so that's why it's a little extra hectic right now. But we're getting them, they're filling in, so,
people apply.
The more interest, actually, yeah, the more people that apply, when you have a backlog, that sort of sends some stars up, because they want to spend money. We got $1.3 million last year, and it's looking like we can have that much, maybe more this year, because we have a special initiative for coral reef on the west side. So, I mean, if you guys got the projects, call me, we can make it happen.
Cool. All right. Thanks for